I like to feed the horses 3 times a day. It doesn't mean I overfeed them and feed them a lot more. I just feed them more frequently. Feed them the same amount more frequently. And I really feel they utilize it better. As well as doing that, as well as feeding 3 times a day, I always feed hay. I try to always have hay in front of them when they're not working. Keeps them comfortable, keeps them happy, keeps them absorbing the stomach acid they produce. Just a good practice. That girl here doesn't get any grain. I'm thinking about getting a lower back tattoo with those butterflies. What do you think? Give me a little tramp stamp. That'd look good. So, if you want to know my simplistic view toward nutrition, it starts with water. Give them all the water they want as often as possible. Water in the stalls is good. That doesn't really work for us. When they're outside, a lot of times they have free choice of water. In the stalls, we water them 4, if not 5 times a day in the summer. And then free choice of hay, good quality hay. Even the lightweights, all they can eat. They're not going to get a hay belly if they're working, and it's good quality hay. And then grain, whatever you choose for grain. I feed a local mix here. There's actually 3 companies that make a good local mix. I use the one that's closest to me. Good friends with another one. I simply don't use him. It's a long ways up to his mill for me. And then we get some really good quality oats from another mill. Heavy oats, probably weigh 42 pounds of the bushel. That's a good feed. I like to feed that with a little something else. And I feed a high protein feed, like a Tribute Essential K. Pool and Grain makes one. Blue Seal Sunshine Plus. Calf Manna. Calf Manna might be the best, but Calf Manna is also the most expensive. And I feed that to the young growing horses. That really puts a back on them. That and good harnessing and working techniques. But yeah, I really like to feed a kind of an extender, nutritional extender like that. A horse like Libby should have a little bit of that. An overweight horse, so she's meeting all her vitamins and minerals, but she's not becoming overweight. That's about it for nutrition. I don't have a lot of tricks. Just do it right. Feed them often. We like to schedule something like 5:30 in the morning, 6 in the morning, noon, and then maybe 6, 7 at night to feed them grain. And then as far as hay, and they don't all need grain, but when they're working they do, or growing they do. Try to always keep hay in front of them when they're working, or even when they're not working, or even when they're riding in a trailer or something. Just helps their overall comfort. And water, all the water they want. Helps them absorb all those nutrients. Not much more I can add to nutrition. It's just about as simple as that. There's books written on it and everything else, and you'll know where to feed. You'll know how much to feed. My brother's a nutritionist. He's an absolute expert on this. He picks on me for not weighing the grain. And the truth is, I do know how many pounds they're eating. But whether I go by pounds or quarts, you know, if I got a horse getting a little thin, he's going to get another pound or another quart, whatever the case is. He's going to get a little more. If he's a little fat, he's going to get a little less. I don't see where it matters if it's pounds or quarts. They got a pretty good idea of what they're eating. And I do know the pounds, but I don't see where it matters an awful lot. And anymore, I probably don't know the pounds of hay they're eating. We're feeding a large square bale now. And that's harder to weigh. You know, the square bales, you know, draft horses, we always say a bale a day. I don't know if it's quite that much. It's probably a little less than that if they're getting some grain, but that's a pretty good number to start with. Well, it's time for spring cleaning here. We've let things become a mess for too long. I don't know what Mojo sees under there. We got several cats in the barn. He thinks there's a mouse under there or something. I don't know. Time to organize this stuff and clean and have a respectable barn once again. You shut it off for a while, bud. Warming up, I got to get rid of some stuff here. I notice as I'm meeting some folks that only know me through the YouTube channel, I've got a few comments, and it's the same as folks that have known me for years. I'm the vest guy. I always wear the vest. They know it's me because of the vest. I've been that way since I was about 6 years old. I've always worn vests and loved my vest. And, you know, I'm like old Beats from Lonesome Dove. I don't give up on a garment just because it's got a little age on it. I use the same stuff. What are you saying, Nick? Should we fix Jimmy back up and
Sure.
make him proud to be an Ainsworth again? Are you ashamed to be an Ainsworth, Jim? No kiss? He really is. Elvis, show me your Ainsworth pride. Nick? So we don't know, or so we do know, I'll put those right there. It's amazing how much junk we accumulate. Set of martingales I've never used, and I got a pair of horses coming up here, and we're going to be working, so we're going to need those here in the next day or two. Soon enough, it'll be pulling season. We'll be using these. You're going to drive a team this year, Nick. You going to do some winning?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. I'm going to hold you to it. Guess what if we don't win? Nothing. We'll still make the mortgage payment. We'll still eat supper. It's fun to win, but it ain't the end all be all. My collection of horseshoes. Got all these shoes, and I never have just the right one that I need when we lose one or something like that. But folks, remember back last winter, anybody that's watched the channel for a little bit, has the episode where we put the card upside down. And Had a heck of a day there. I don't remember what we called that episode, but it's back in the winter logging, and there's what's left. We had to cut this strap to get the horse loose, so I just gotta go up to the harness shop for repairs. That ought to go on a harness. This serves a good purpose, actually. Milking inflations is what these are. Put them right on the heel chain. And when you hook your single tree heel chain to your hook there, it shouldn't come unhooked when you use that as a safety catch there. Well, we're going to need a set of brushes here pretty quickly. Better put that back on. That's how we latch our Dutch doors shut. I'd say that looks a little better. We got coffee beans on the floor here. Not a big coffee growing area here in Western New York. What the coffee beans are is I bought these burlap bags and coffee came in them. Coffee beans came in these bags. And what I'm going to do in the summer, I'm going to dry the horses and rub the horses with that burlap. And that'll bring the shine right out on them. So some friends have told me. But along with that burlap bag came some coffee beans. What all this work really amounts to is nothing. But it makes me feel better. It makes me feel more like being in the barn. Save those, yeah. And just makes things look better and we have a little more pride and stuff. Yeah, get the tripod and set it up. We're not quite ready. We're gonna clip his mane. Why don't you get the clippers out? And I just bought some clipper oil. Is that rolling?
Yeah.
twitch him. A little tighter. There we go. Careful. Well, I'll talk about a couple things here. First, the fact that I do keep them clipped. And we do, as you see. I want to be really visible at a glance if there's any sores or beginning of sores or anything where the collar lays. And I don't want anything to come between the collar and the horse. I don't like a mane rubbing under the collar. And the pole, that's another, the bridle path, another important area. So if I'm going to clip here and here, I just clip the whole mane, and I like to see it anyway. Some people don't. That's my first reason for clipping the mane. I also like to clip their ears, woo buddy, just to get a good sharp looking ear, make them look sharp. When we get done, I want this horse clipped, not clipped at. That's something I stole from Gerald Alleback down to Windermere Farms. Some horses are clipped and some are clipped at. And right now he's clipped at. But give him another week, we'll give him another haircut, clip his ears again. And I'm going to try to get after his legs, see how he responds. And then he'll start looking like a pulling horse, one that's clipped. Weather gets a little bit warmer here in another little bit, and they're going to get hosed every day too, and cooled down with the hose and washed with the hose, and that's a nice step toward clipping, keeps your blade sharp. But I like the way everything sits when a horse is clipped up nice. The collar, and especially we really look, and Nick is really vigilant about this. We really look right here and see if there's any sores. And I'll tell you, when you're clipping the horse, you can see if there's any sores, or you can feel it. You can watch the horse's reaction. So he's pretty good about getting his mane clipped, even up in here. His ears not quite as much, and we haven't done his legs yet, but I could tell with the scissors he's going to need twitch to do his legs. The legs, I clip the legs for the same reason I do the head. I want to see any injuries down low. I want to cool them down also. I don't want mud sticking to them. I don't want scratches. There's actually multiple reasons. But mainly I want to see any injuries at a glance, or swellings. I want to see all that at a glance when I'm working these guys every day. So the legs get clipped up to the knee and up to the hock. Actually, sometimes I take a swipe right up to that chestnut. And then as long as we're doing that, we'll do a few things just to make them look good. I'll clip the throat latch a little bit, make it look nice and clean. The jaw, make it look a little cleaner. The jawline and the ears. If I got any horseman out there being critical that he shouldn't need to be twitched to clip, you're right. But he is a young boy and he's getting used to it. And I'm hoping after a few times we won't need to twitch him anywhere after he gets used to it and sees that it doesn't hurt. But I'd rather twitch him and have him stand still than get stomped on while I'm trying to clip it. Now, with all that said, my dad never clipped horses. He thought, actually, when he was a kid, they had 2 accidents when he was a little boy. One, his dad had a bunch of burdocks in a horse's mane and was going to reach up here and clip the front, and the horse got scared because my grandpa was a big, aggressive dude. And when the horse got scared, he hit the eye and made him blind in one eye. And the other accident was even more serious. The guy was clipping cows, and the cow kicked, and the clippers hit the man in the eye, and it knocked one of his eyes out, and he was a one-eyed man. So my dad hated clipping, and he never did it, and never had a sore neck, never had swellings, never had scratches. He kept his horses clean, that's one part, and groomed every day. He also raised Percherons that just don't tend to be near as hairy. That, and sometimes I'd sneak out there and clip them once in a while anyway, because I liked it, and then we'd fight about it. You want a haircut, Nick? In a bit. Okay, get right over here. Come here. Come here. Haircut. Just gotta straighten up this jawline a little bit here. We're going to clip him once a week, once every 2 weeks. We say once a week, it'll probably be once every 2 weeks. And he'll look a little sharper each time. But I know he's not going to be great when we do his legs, so we're going to go ahead and put a twitch on him. There's a nerve in their nose, and it just kind of activates that nerve. And we need a... I like to do the front legs first. Kind of activates that nerve. Hey. And it just settles them right in. Great article a little while ago in the Draft Horse Journal about twitching a horse and how to do it and how your horse reacts, when to do it, how much pressure to use, and so forth. It's kind of like cranking a cow's tail, any of you dairy farmers, or grabbing a cow in the nose hole. Kind of the same thing. We can do this with our hands, but not for long enough. Maybe if you got hands like Nick, but if you got hands like me that have suffered from chainsaw vibration for 35 years, you probably can't. Funny thing about my dad not clipping horses. He groomed them every day. I mean, they were shiny all year round. And they were farm horses. I mean, they didn't see the public a lot, but that was just his pride. Funny thing about not clipping horses, my dad had a buzz cut, a brush cut, since about 1940 until the day he died in 2019. And I'm glad he died in 2019 and didn't have to see 2020 with the coronavirus. God, he would have been ashamed of us all. But anyway, always kept the shortest buzz cut himself. And he was neatly shaved. He never missed a day shaving. He had these Lemmy Kilmeister sideburns, mutton chop sideburns. Cool looking things. But underneath, he shaved perfectly every day. He hardly ever missed a day shaving, even if nobody was going to see him. That was just his pride. And he hated it if he was getting late on getting a haircut. And yet, never gave his horses a haircut. Well, we're kind of doing the old Mr. Stofferson here. We're fumbling in our closet through our clothes and finding our cleanest dirty shirt. I'm not sure if these blades are sharp or dull. I think they're sharper than the ones we took off. I almost think they're brandy new, but I'm not certain. I know we don't have any other that stand a chance of being better. Well, I woke up Sunday morning with no way to hold my head that didn't hurt. And the beer I had for breakfast wasn't bad, so I had one more for sleeping city sidewalk, Sunday morning coming down. Let's have a look at the horse here. Whoa, I probably covered you up. Super Nick. And Ziggy. Look at that. I like the looks of this boy now. I liked him before, but that's a nice clean haircut. Look at those sharp ears. You get a horse like that, he deserves the dignity of having him trimmed up and being able to use his ears well. But here's the main part. Get that mane where it's not under the collar and you could see a sore at a glance. Get these legs clipped up nice so they don't get dirty, so you can see swellings or cuts, and so you don't get scratches. And right now he's nearly dressed up to be a pulling horse. All he needs is about 200 pounds of muscle. By the way, he's a 2-year-old. We have no intention of making this dude a pulling horse yet, but someday we will. Maybe he needs 300 pounds of muscle right here on the rear and right through the back. And he's got the frame. He's got a nice length of hip right there. He's gonna fill out. You look at him right down here by the gaskin. He's got some little muscle developed already, and he's gonna develop more. So got the right hock set. He should be the type. He acts cooperative. You know, he should be a pulling horse someday. Definitely gonna make a good workhorse. Right here's key, what makes everything go round, and it's Nick. He helps with everything. You see him twitching horses. You see him helping with everything. And we'll break a lot of colts. And, you know, it's not impossible to do alone, but if you got a helper, all the better. And not many people are lucky enough to have a helper as good as Nick that knows his way around horses and is right there helping before you need to ask. Let's say we harness this boy and clip up the next one. You get his collar, I'll get his harness. He's ready for the next size. I feel like doing it today. Probably shouldn't have let that happen. We should have put a rope on him. That was my fault. Or I should have been behind him. Let him know I was there and he probably wouldn't have done that. Best thing you can do when he does that is just what Dick did. Not make a big fuss of it. Leave him there. Leave him there. So it's just leave him there. I gotta clean the poop. But Nick didn't make any big fuss of that. The bigger fuss of it you make, the bigger fuss of it they make. Step up my head or something. Step up. Ooh. All right, now you can cross down. What you doing, Nick?
Oh, it was wet. I don't know if that's from sweat or rain or what.
I got it is. I can't get it buckled where I like it. Get that britching. You notice as we're harnessing him, he's still a little jumpy here and there. Nick pulls the britching down or putting that collar on. He's got a ways to go. Don't forget, he spent about 2 weeks of doing this. He might look pretty good out there working, but he's still just a young horse. And we got to remember to treat him as such. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to forgive those problems for the rest of his life. It means we're slowly going to work on that stuff. And you're about to see the next thing we slowly need to work on that I've been embarrassingly bad about doing. Nick, stand behind him. He's going to show off today. But you watch Zach Odom. Zach Odom logging with mules. Zach has a horse mule that's a good ways away from working. And yet, Zach's already got that thing broke to put his head down here so he's easier to bridle. And I'm 6'3" and I just have been using my height instead of my smarts. And not that I have a lot of smarts sometimes, but this is the time to start teaching them to bridle the right way when they're young, even before this. And I haven't done it yet. So I'm gonna go back and watch Zach's video. I know he did it with a rope and lowering their head a little bit more each day, and I'm going to learn from that. And we're going to do the same thing here, and we're going to have a good horse. At least a better horse. Well, this guy's not going to work right away. He is going outside in the bitting rig for a while. And the reason being, he hasn't been holding his head as straight as he ought to, especially on that walking plow. Hauls it off to the outside. He does pretty good when he's hooked on the off side. When he's hooked on the near side, he can improve quite a bit. And this will help him improve. More bitten rig, never hurt anybody. I often thought a lot more saddle horses ought to spend some time in a bitten rig, even though I don't know anything about saddle horses. But outside looking in, when I watch them, that's what it looks like to me. Now, I could be wrong. Like I said, I'm not a saddle horse guy. He's just going to get turned out and get used to that. Get used to holding his head straight. Go right back to the basics. I can tell you one person that's going to comment on this video, and it's a person I hold in pretty high regard. Klaus Krubhammer, I can't say the name. You'd think with my German background I could. I guarantee Klaus doesn't like the main clipped, and I know he doesn't like my overchecks and blinders. And I respect him a lot. He also much prefers a 3-pad system for oxen over the yoke. Truth of the matter is, we're as different as could be. I'm kind of a guy that goes back to the 1930s technology and what worked then, and I try to perfect that. Maybe because I grew up around a guy that was raised in the 30s. And I try to get this, what I know, to the highest level. And, you know, it's like a lot of research. I've done my own research, and I've found what I do works for me. And that's what most research is. It's not information, it's affirmation. And maybe I'm guilty of that. Maybe when I'm looking up blinders as opposed to no blinders, overcheck as opposed to no overcheck, I'm looking for affirmation, not information. But I know this sort of stuff is what works for me. And I hold a guy like Klaus in high regard. I've read a lot of his work, and I know he's put a lot of time and effort into learning that, and I think it works fine. Works very well. I've never adapted some of the ways. Clipping them, we already went through that. Overcheck, I want them, I don't overcheck them too tight, but I want their head up. That's where they balance. That's where they walk good. I like their head up. I don't want them putting it down. And to me, that's particularly important on a young horse. I will agree, it's probably about time to get rid of that second bit and just go to one bit on this dude. And blinders, I don't know. I've worked some open horses. My buddy Andy Herzog works open horses a lot. I've always kind of said I don't want them knowing what's going on back there. I don't care. They don't need to know what I'm doing. Yeah, maybe I'm losing some communication there. Maybe that's a crude approach, but that's how I've always felt. And truth of the matter is, I've drove some blind horses, and I got along with them as good or better than I did regular horses, and kind of drew those conclusions. So, right or wrong, that's where we stand on a few of those subjects. And I'm not completely closed-minded either. And I really appreciate somebody that disagrees in a really intelligent way, the way a guy like Klaus does. But, well, let's turn this dude out and let him train himself for a while, and then we'll work on the next horse. Yeah, it's time. Well, we got another one clipped. That was his first time ever having his legs clipped. He's had his mane clipped a bunch. He loves his mane clipped. It's like a massage to him, but clipped his legs since he's getting to be a real horse. Well, we're filming here while I'm working on this horse. I'll tell you one thing, my vet appreciates my horses clipped, especially the legs, but the mane also. He appreciates at a glance seeing if there's anything wrong. He said to me he wishes all horses, saddle horses, everything, got fully clipped up so we could see them quicker and not hide a problem and deal with them a little easier. So, and my vet's a horseman as well, not just a vet, but a horse owner. I'm going to tell you what, I don't know if this horse, I called you a whore, that ain't nice. I don't know what his future holds, but I know he's pretty, and I know, wow, getting him cleaned up and clipped up, and he's a head turner. Who knows if he'll be a good workhorse or pulling horse or anything, but I know that he's going to look good doing whatever he does. What do you think, Nick? Think he'll look good running away?
Yeah.
Get ugly, Jim, please. Be a little careful. He's got that pulling wheel stuff. Ugly Jim is coming up next. That's a horse that needs clipped. Boy, is he a hairy dude.
Dirty.
Always has been. Dirty, filthy. Yeah. Don't matter. You give him a pickup load of shavings every day and he's filthy. Soon enough, he's going outside every night and then coming in at day to get worked. He'll stay cleaner then. Got to have some fences fixed up first. I am not going to turn a horse out with a poor fence. What do you see, Nick?
Just looking at it, looks good.
Okay. But Jim, we don't know his heritage. Bought him as a 10-year-old, just like a lot of us. He's got questionable heritage. As far as we know, he's all Belgian. I used to think he was Suffolk. I don't know. The more I'm around him, the more I think he could be a Brabant Belgian. Or he could just be a Belgian. Who knows? Truth is, it doesn't matter. A hell of a lot. He is what he is. Now I want to point out about Jim. On the other side, right here, that pole evil's come back a little bit. So I got to use some caution when I'm working on him. A lot of trust. Right there, I'm touching his sore spot, and he's allowing me to do that. I appreciate a horse that doesn't want to be touched there, but he says, you know what, Brandt's never hurt me. I might have hurt you once or twice, Jim, when we were getting going. That's love, isn't it? Get these legs clean. Jim was clipped not terribly long ago, before we went to Michigan, whenever that was. He needs a lot of clipping. Get these legs clean so we don't dull the blades is what we're up to. Your horses that are prime candidates for scratches. The number one thing is hairy-legged. Number two thing is overweight. Well, no. The number two thing is a dirty stall. You know, filth. And then number three is probably overweight and fat. We pretty well check all those boxes, so we got to be careful on scratches. We're really not quite as dirty as I lead on. Jim is filthy, but we try to use all the bedding we can and try to keep them clean in their stall. Try to keep them turned right outside as much as possible. But nonetheless, those are the three causes of scratches. I'm discovering, take a pair of scissors, do a little clipper upper first, especially the dirty spots. And that'll save a lot of life on your clipper blades. And that'll kind of give you an indication as to how the horses are going to behave when you clip them. I was just telling a friend of mine here, Andy, here's this team is angels to clip one day and a little bit naughty the next. By this team, I guess I mean Jim and Elvis. I'll give no guarantees as to how Jim's going to behave here, clipping his mane with a pull evil. He ought to be okay, but we'll see. Nick, just twitch him. We're going to twitch him right off the bat. There you go, there's your top aim strap. That'd be a pretty narrow top aim strap. Jim's pretty narrow between the eyes. He doesn't have a bad head, but it sure is far from perfect. The other thing about that top aim strap being the width of the ears, Jim actually has a fairly thick neck too, and narrow ears, so he doesn't check that box. I think most of our other horses do though. Right here, I'm touching Jim's sore spot, that pole evil. Okay. There he goes. Got a good looking mane again. Or lack thereof. Well, let's see how he responds to his legs. Of course, I run my clippers right into the spot I knew I didn't have clean.
People like to do from all around.
Well, we're doing okay once we figured out what our issue was. About the first 100 feet, maybe even 200 feet, they were not behaving. I couldn't figure out why. Zodiac was a step behind and Jim was trying to walk way off from where he should. And then I looked up and the outside line that goes all the way to Zodiac on the outside was over the top of the hame. I'd kind of threw it up over their backs when we were working on the plow, and I didn't have it pulled down all the way. As soon as we straightened that line out, boom, we went right to work. Whoa. I'll get a little vitamin D. I'm about sick of not feeling any sun on my skin. Get a little tan. Get some Donald Trump orange, huh? Tanning mom. Ooh. Ooh. If the year plays out like we're hoping, this will be the farm team that we pull in the farm class this year. And then Elvis and another dude, belongs to a friend of mine, are going to be our lightweight, one of our lightweight teams. Hopefully they'll be as good as they can. They have the potential to be a damn good team. We'll see. I'm always jealous of my friends with standard bred racehorses because they only need one good one. We need two good ones. And not just two good ones, two that'll go together. You can have two good horses, but maybe they don't go together. There's nothing wrong with either of them, but they don't make a pulling team. So this should be an okay farm team. Zodiac, it's his 3-year-old year. We're not going to overdo it. We're not going to push him too hard. But of course, we're a lightweight team. You know, both of them are around 1,800. We might let Jim, if we stay in the farm class, we might let Jim get up to 1,900, and hopefully Zodiac will grow and become 1,850 or something. But anyway, those are lightweight sizes, and a lot of the farm horses are way over a ton, so doesn't matter. We're not there to win trophies. We're there to develop horses, really, and have a good time. they look pretty good all clipped up. Gotta get some more manure off from Jim. I just can't keep him clean, but he gets shed out a little more. He's a handsome dude. Pretty good looking team. I hope they perform as well as they look and as good as they've been doing on the plowing this year. Disc Golder doing its job on that trash. We're 6 inches deep, 12 inches wide. Straight as an arrow. We don't get that very often. Zodiac's got that habit of taking 1 foot out of the damn furrow about every 5 steps. He was doing pretty good last time I had him hooked with Ziggy, but here today he's doing it again. I don't have any great answer for that. Everything's hooked right, the lines are strung right, the cross lines are right. He just needs more of this work. It's really not affecting my plowing much, it just kind of gets on my nerves. Kind of reminds me, Les Barden up in New Hampshire told me he had a pair of Durhams. That's what they call shorthorns up there. A good pair of Durham oxen, he said. The only thing they did wrong was they hauled out, which is oxen lean on the outsides of their yoke. And he said they were a fine team. And he did every trick he knew how. There's a handful of tricks we used to try to prevent them from hauling out. And nothing worked. They still hauled out anytime that ground was hard at all. Not even paved, just a good hard driveway or something. He said he finally cured it. He just closed his eyes and let them do it when they were going up the driveway, because as soon as they got on the soft ground, they got over it. Maybe that's what I need to do, just kind of close my eyes to it, and as long as we're plowing okay and he gets right back into furrow. It's only 1 foot about every 5 steps. He's just a goofball like that. Maybe that's all we need to do. What do you think, Nick? We having a good day?
Yeah.
Cleaned the barn, clipped the horses, getting some training done on some young ones. Getting a little plowing done. Tomorrow we got we got 2 more horses coming that are gonna need some work. We're gonna put them right to work on the plow as often as possible. Good pair of horses. Oh, nice ones. I can't wait to show them to you folks. They're just coming here to get work, that's all. Anyway, guess we ought to let the camera be. People seen plenty of plowing this year, and we'll focus on getting something done.